Fort Bragg glowed under the amber sunset, casting long shadows across the Delta Force Command Center. Captain James Harrington stood at the tactical operations window, his weathered face reflecting the fading light. At 55 years old, his once jet black hair had surrendered to silver at the temples, but the eyes remained unchanged 25 years later. The same steely blue that had witnessed Desert Storm's opening salvos now scanned the evening sky with practiced wariness. Behind him lay spread the mission details across the metal table. Aerial reconnaissance photos of a suspected weapons trafficking operation along the Arizona-Mexico border. Intelligence reports showing concerning patterns of American military hardware appearing in cartel arsenals. Equipment manifests documenting missing M40A6 sniper rifles and Schmidt and Bender scopes worth millions. Harrington traced a calloused finger along the border route marked in red. The mission parameters were straightforward enough to make him confident in his team's capabilities. 48 hours of deep desert reconnaissance gathering intelligence on weapons smugglers that had been feeding insurgent operations across 2 continents for months. Their insertion point lay 12 kilometers from the target area, with extraction scheduled at a predetermined landing zone once they had collected the necessary information. "Captain Harrington, a word." Colonel Barrett's voice carried the unmistakable tone of command. Harrington turned to find the senior officer standing in the doorway holding a personnel file. Barrett's expression betrayed nothing as he approached, placing the folder on top of the mission documents. "Command has assigned a communications specialist to accompany Alpha Squad for tomorrow's operation." Harrington's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "With respect, sir, my team is already fully staffed and operational. We don't need additional personnel for a simple reconnaissance mission." Barrett's expression hardened. "This isn't a request, Captain. Staff Sergeant Westbrook has been specifically selected for this operation. Direct orders from above." Harrington opened the folder. The personnel photo showed a woman in her early 30s with dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun. Her expression was neutral, professional, unrevealing. Her service record listed multiple commendations for communication systems, expertise, advanced training in encrypted battlefield networks, and fluency in 4 languages. What it didn't show was any combat experience. "Sir, this mission requires experienced operators. The border terrain is unforgiving, and we're potentially facing armed hostiles with military-grade weaponry." "Your concern is noted, Captain." Barrett's tone made clear the discussion was over. "Staff Sergeant Westbrook reports to you at 1800 hours. Make the necessary adjustments to your operational plan." After Barrett departed, Harrington stood motionless, staring at the personnel file. 20 years of command experience had taught him that last-minute changes rarely improve mission outcomes, especially changes that placed inexperienced personnel in combat zones. He reached for the phone, pressing the numbers with controlled frustration. "Rodriguez, briefing room in 10, bring Reeves and Kowalski." The briefing room buzzed with permission tension as Harrington entered the personnel file tucked under his arm. His 3 team members looked up from the tactical maps spread across the metal table, their expressions shifting from focused concentration to curiosity. Master Sergeant Miguel Rodriguez, the team's navigator and second-in-command, raised an eyebrow. At 45, the Afghanistan veteran had been with Harrington through 8 successful operations, his desert experience and topographical memory proving invaluable time after time. Sergeant Frank Reeves, 35, had earned his reputation as the team's demolitions expert through 3 tours in Iraq. His ability to understand structural weaknesses made him equally valuable for infiltration as for destruction. Staff Sergeant John Kowalski, former Special Forces sniper with confirmed kills beyond 1,000 meters, cleaned his spotting scope with methodical precision. At 40, his steady hands and calculating mind had saved the team numerous times. "Gentlemen," Harrington began, his tone measured, but edged with tension. "Command has seen fit to assign us a communications specialist for tomorrow's operation." He placed the folder on the table, revealing the personnel photo. The reactions were subtle but unmistakable. Rodriguez's mouth tightened slightly. Reeves glanced at Kowalski, who continued cleaning his equipment, though his movements had slowed. "Staff Sergeant Sarah Westbrook, communications expert with extensive technical training." Kowalski finally looked up. "Combat experience?" "None listed." Harrington's response hung in the air. Rodriguez studied the file. "Sir, the terrain we're heading into is no place for someone untested. We've been planning this as a four-man operation for weeks. My sentiments exactly. But the order comes from Colonel Barrett himself. Harrington's tone conveyed his frustration. We adjust and adapt. Rodriguez review the insertion protocols. Reeves equipment allocation. Kowalski revise your overwatch positions to account for a fifth team member. As his team dispersed to their tasks, Harrington remained at the table studying the border maps. His mind wandered to another mission years ago in the scorching deserts of Iraq. Another last-minute personnel change. Another inexperienced soldier. The memory of the body bag being loaded onto the extraction helicopter still visited him in dreams. At precisely 1800 hours, Staff Sergeant Sarah Westbrook stepped through the briefing room doorway, her boots silent against the concrete floor. 5'7" athletic build, with none of the hesitation one might expect from someone entering a room of skeptical senior operators. Her uniform was impeccably maintained equipment, arranged according to regulation, and her stance reflected formal military discipline. Harrington studied her for a moment before speaking. Staff Sergeant Westbrook reporting as ordered, sir. Her voice carried a confidence that seemed at odds with her file. Harrington nodded toward an empty chair. Take a seat, Sergeant. We were just reviewing the operational parameters. Westbrook placed her tactical folder on the table and sat with perfect posture, eyes alert focused on the maps. There was something in her assessment of the terrain that caught Rodriguez's attention momentarily. Harrington began the briefing with practiced efficiency. Our mission is straightforward reconnaissance. Intelligence suggests American military hardware is being trafficked through this sector. His finger traced a canyon system near the border. We insert by helicopter at 2300 hours tomorrow, establish observation posts here, and here document any activity and extract after 48 hours. He turned to Westbrook. Your role will be maintaining communication with base operations while we conduct the actual reconnaissance. You'll be positioned centrally in our formation, protected from potential contact points. Something flickered across Westbrook's face so quickly it might have been imagination. Sir, if I may, the canyon system creates natural signal degradation. We might consider positioning communications equipment at this ridge for better satellite connectivity while maintaining line of sight to both observation posts. The suggestion was technically sound, revealing a deeper understanding of both the equipment and terrain than Harrington had expected. Still, he regarded her with practiced skepticism. We'll stick with established protocol, Sergeant. You'll maintain your assigned position in the formation. Rodriguez will lead point navigation, Reeves will handle any necessary breaches or demolition, and Kowalski provides overwatch. You focus on maintaining clear communications with base. Understood, sir. Westbrook's response was immediate, professional, without a hint of disappointment or frustration. The briefing continued for another hour. Harrington noticed that Westbrook asked precise questions about patrol patterns, insertion timelines, and extraction protocols. Her inquiries demonstrated knowledge that seemed beyond standard communications training, but he attributed this to thorough preparation rather than field experience. As the team dispersed for equipment preparation, Rodriguez approached Harrington privately. What do you make of her, sir? Harrington watched Westbrook speaking with Reeves about communication equipment compatibility. She's well-trained, technically proficient, but this mission is no place for someone who's never faced hostile fire. Rodriguez nodded slowly. There's something about her, though. The way she studied those maps wasn't like a comm specialist. Noted. Keep an eye on her during prep. Make sure she understands her position and role. Last thing we need is someone trying to prove themselves in the middle of sensitive reconnaissance. The equipment room hummed with activity as Alpha Squad conducted final preparations. Weapons were checked, rechecked, and secured according to mission protocols. Communication systems were tested across multiple frequencies, with encryption algorithms verified against potential interception. Westbrook organized her communications gear with methodical precision, testing radio frequencies and encryption protocols. Her familiarity with the advanced systems impressed Reeves slightly, though he remained focused on his own specialized equipment checks. Kowalski observed her from across the room, noting how she arranged her tactical vest with unusual efficiency for someone supposedly unused to field operations. The weight distribution, the accessibility of critical components, the redundant systems placement, all suggested someone who understood more than just technical specifications. When no one was watching, Westbrook approached the weapons locker. With practice movements, she selected a Sig Sauer P226 sidearm, checked the action with expert precision, and concealed it within her communications pack. The motion was fluid, economical, reflecting thousands of repetitions invisible to casual observation. Harrington entered carrying his personal equipment, his mind replaying fragments from past missions. Desert operations required meticulous preparation. Water discipline could mean the difference between success and catastrophic failure. Equipment malfunctions that might be inconvenient in other environments could prove fatal in the unforgiving borderlands. His gaze fell on Westbrook, who was securing her communications equipment with practiced efficiency. There was something in her movements that nagged at his tactical assessment, something that didn't align with her personnel file. But 20 years of command had taught him to focus on mission parameters rather than intuition without evidence. Final equipment check in 30 minutes, he announced. Helicopter transport arrives at 2200 hours. Be ready. The Black Hawk helicopter cut through the darkness, its rotors slicing the night air as it approached the insertion zone. Inside Alpha Squad sat in operational silence, each member mentally preparing for the mission ahead. The interior lights cast a red glow across their faces, preserving night vision while allowing for last-minute equipment checks. Harrington surveyed his team. Rodriguez checked his navigation equipment one final time, confirming GPS coordinates against paper maps. Kowalski stared out the small window, already calculating wind variables that would affect shooting conditions if needed. Reeves secured his specialized demolition equipment, ensuring each component was properly insulated against the desert heat they would face at daybreak. Westbrook sat directly across from Harrington, her expression unreadable in the dim red light. Her communication equipment was secured according to protocol, with primary and backup systems arranged for immediate access. What Harrington couldn't see was the Sig Sauer concealed beneath her tactical vest, or the ceramic combat knife strapped to her ankle, neither of which had been issued for this operation. The helicopter pilot's voice crackled through their headsets. LZ in 3 minutes. Wind conditions nominal. No detected activity in the insertion zone. Harrington gave the hand signal for final preparations. Each team member performed their practiced routine, securing loose equipment, checking weapons, and activating night vision systems. The Black Hawk descended toward a small clearing surrounded by steep canyon walls, the perfect natural concealment for their insertion. As the helicopter hovered 6 feet above the desert floor, Alpha Squad deployed in practice sequence. Rodriguez first securing the immediate perimeter. Kowalski next establishing overwatch positions. Reeves followed, already scanning for potential security threats. Westbrook moved with unexpected grace, her descent from the helicopter, reflecting perfect weight distribution and balance. Harrington noticed but filed the observation away as the helicopter ascended and disappeared into the night sky, leaving them in the darkness of the desert border region. Establish perimeter. Radio check. Harrington's command was barely above a whisper carried to each team member through their tactical communication systems. Point secure. Rodriguez. Overwatch established. Kowalski. Perimeter sensors active. Reeves. Communications operational. Westbrook, her voice professionally neutral. Alpha Squad moved through the darkness with practiced silence, their night vision equipment revealing the harsh terrain in ghostly green detail. The border region's topography created natural channels for movement, which made it ideal for smuggling operations, but also provided predictable routes for surveillance. Rodriguez led the formation, his desert experience evident in each careful step. Harrington followed, maintaining operational command positioning. Westbrook kept her assigned position in the center of their formation, though Harrington noticed her scanning patterns matched those of experienced combat personnel rather than support staff. Behind her, Reeves maintained their security, while Kowalski covered their movement from 20 meters back, his sniper training evident in his ghost-like progress. They covered 3 kilometers in perfect silence, the only sounds being the occasional desert wildlife and the whisper of equipment against tactical clothing. The moon remained hidden behind clouds, providing ideal conditions for covert movement. Westbrook maintained her assigned position, but her awareness extended far beyond communications responsibilities. Her eyes constantly scanned the terrain, identifying potential ambush points, calculating fields of fire, assessing tactical options with each new ridge and depression they traversed. These were not the habits of a communications specialist, but the ingrained behaviors of someone extensively trained in combat operations. As they approached a narrow canyon that would lead them toward their primary observation position, Westbrook detected an anomaly in the radio frequency spectrum. Her specialized equipment picked up brief transmission bursts at irregular intervals, using frequency patterns inconsistent with standard Border Patrol or civilian communications. She moved forward slightly, tapping Harrington's shoulder and indicating her communication display. When he glanced back, she showed him the signal pattern, then hand-signaled, military grade, encrypted, multiple sources. Harrington frowned. Intelligence had indicated minimal security at the suspected weapons cache, certainly nothing requiring military-grade encrypted communications. He studied the data for a moment, then signaled for the team to continue as planned. Westbrook's expression remained neutral, but her tactical assessment had already shifted. The signal patterns indicated sophisticated coordination, inconsistent with standard smuggling operations. Either their intelligence was severely flawed, or they were walking into something far more complex than a simple weapons trafficking operation. As they continued through the narrowing canyon, Westbrook noticed additional warning signs. Disturbed soil patterns suggesting recent movement of multiple personnel. Brush arranged too uniformly along potential concealment positions. The positioning of rocks at key terrain features that could serve as pre-sighted range markers for defensive fire. She moved forward again, this time more urgently, tapping Harrington's shoulder. When he turned, she signaled possible prepared positions, recent activity, multiple personnel. Harrington studied the terrain ahead, seeing nothing unusual in the night vision landscape. He signaled back, continue mission, maintain formation. Westbrook returned to position, her mind calculating survival probabilities and tactical options. The evidence suggested they were moving into a prepared area, possibly under surveillance already. Standard protocol would recommend withdrawal and reassessment, but without concrete evidence, she understood Harrington's decision to proceed. Rodriguez led them deeper into the canyon system, unaware of Westbrook's concerns. The terrain narrowed further, high walls on either side, creating a natural channeling effect that any experienced tactician would recognize as a perfect ambush location. Westbrook's communication equipment detected additional signal activity, now more frequent, and from multiple sources that appeared to be converging on their position. This pattern was consistent with coordinated military operations, not random smuggler communications. She moved forward a third time now with unmistakable urgency, showing Harrington the signal pattern and mapping overlay that indicated they were being surrounded by multiple communication sources. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Harrington's face. He signaled the team to hold position while he assessed the new information. Rodriguez and Reeves moved closer, examining Westbrook's communications data. "These are military protocols," Westbrook whispered, her voice barely audible, even through the tactical communications system. "Coordinated movement patterns. Multiple teams converging." Rodriguez studied the terrain ahead. The canyon narrows further 200 meters forward. Limited exit options. Harrington faced a critical decision point. Their mission parameters called for covert reconnaissance, not engagement. If Westbrook's assessment was correct, proceeding would place them at severe tactical disadvantage. Yet without visual confirmation, changing the mission plan based solely on communications data would be unprecedented. "We proceed with heightened security. Rodriguez, find an alternate route that keeps us above the canyon floor. Kowalski, moved to high ground for overwatch. Reeves, prepare defensive measures if we need to extract quickly." Westbrook maintained her professional demeanor, but internally cataloged Harrington's decision as tactically unsound given the available intelligence. She began preparing her own contingency plans, mentally mapping escape routes and defensible positions. As Alpha Squad altered their approach to maintain higher ground along the canyon wall, Westbrook continued monitoring the communications signals. The pattern had changed, suggesting the unknown forces had detected their course correction and were adjusting accordingly. The team crested a small ridge that provided visual coverage of the canyon ahead. Kowalski deployed his spotting scope, scanning the terrain with practiced precision. "Movement ahead, 200 meters, multiple personnel." Harrington took the scope, observing several figures moving with military precision between concealed positions. Their equipment and formation suggested professional training far beyond standard border criminals. "Those aren't smugglers," Rodriguez whispered. "Those are professionals." Westbrook analyzed their tactical options, each progressively less favorable. "Sir, recommend immediate withdrawal. Signal patterns indicate we're being encircled." For the first time, Harrington acknowledged the severity of their situation with a grim nod. Agreed, we extract along Route Bravo. Rodriguez lead us back to the secondary extraction point. Kowalski maintain rear guard. Westbrook alert base of our situation and request extraction. As Westbrook began transmitting their emergency protocols, the night exploded into chaos. Muzzle flashes erupted from multiple positions, the crack of rifle fire echoing through the canyon. Their position had been compromised. Contact front, multiple hostiles. Rodriguez dropped to a defensive position, returning fire with controlled bursts from his M4. The initial volley was tactically precise, designed to separate the team and prevent coordinated response. Bullets impacted around their positions, showering them with rock fragments and dust. Kowalski immediately shifted to sniper mode, identifying and engaging the most immediate threats with practiced efficiency. I count 12, maybe more in concealed positions. Reeves deployed to the left flank, laying down suppressive fire to cover potential movement. We're boxed in limited withdrawal options. Harrington assessed their rapidly deteriorating tactical situation. The ambush had been professionally executed, suggesting they faced trained military personnel rather than border criminals. Their position offered minimal cover, and the encirclement was nearly complete. Rodriguez find us an exit route. Kowalski priority targets are their communications specialists. Reeves prepare smoke for concealment. As the team executed these orders, Westbrook's actions shifted dramatically. With fluid precision that reflected years of advanced combat training, she withdrew the concealed Sig Sauer and began engaging hostile targets with expert marksmanship. Each shot was placed with tactical precision, her target selection and engagement sequence, reflecting specialized training far beyond basic military qualification. Harrington noticed the transformation, but had no time to process it as Rodriguez suddenly cried out in pain, clutching his leg as blood began soaking through his tactical pants. Rodriguez is hit, Reeves called out, moving to provide covering fire. Westbrook was already in motion, reaching Rodriguez with startling speed. She dragged him behind a boulder with strength that belied her size, immediately applying a combat tourniquet with practiced efficiency. Her movements reflected advanced medical training, typically reserved for special operations personnel. Femoral bleeding controlled. He needs immediate extraction. Her voice remained calm despite the chaos around them. The tactical situation deteriorated further as additional hostile forces appeared on their right flank, cutting off their primary escape route. Automatic weapons fire intensified, pinning them down with limited options for movement. Harrington had faced combat situations throughout his career, but the precision and coordination of this ambush suggested an enemy force with intelligence about their mission and training comparable to their own. This realization triggered a cascade of stress responses that began overwhelming his tactical decision-making. We're outnumbered and outpositioned, Kowalski shouted above the gunfire, ejecting an empty magazine and slamming in a fresh one. Reeves deployed smoke grenades, creating momentary visual concealment. We need to move now or we're finished. The pressure of command under these conditions began fracturing Harrington's combat effectiveness. Images from past missions flashed through his mind, failed extractions, wounded personnel, body bags being loaded onto helicopters. Fear crystallized into a single overwhelming impulse: survival. Everyone for themselves, head for extraction. Point Charlie. The order violated every principle of unit integrity and leadership he had upheld throughout his career. The team's cohesion shattered in that moment. Kowalski hesitated briefly before disappearing into the smoke, moving toward higher ground. Reeves looked between Harrington and the wounded Rodriguez, conflict evident on his face. Harrington was already moving tactical training, temporarily overwhelmed by a primal survival instinct. As he disappeared into the swirling smoke, Westbrook's expression hardened with recognition of what was happening. Reeves, can you reach the ridge to the east? Her voice carried unexpected command authority. Reeves nodded, firing a final suppressive burst. What about Rodriguez? I've got him. Reach that ridge and signal when secure. We'll bring Rodriguez. As Reeves moved toward the eastern ridge, hostile fire intensified around Westbrook's position. Rodriguez looked up at her through pain-clouded eyes. They left us. Disbelief mingled with the pain in his voice. Westbrook checked his wound before responding, her voice carrying unexpected certainty. I'm not leaving you. We're getting out of this. She secured her communications equipment and retrieved additional ammunition from Rodriguez's tactical vest. With practiced efficiency, she reorganized their resources for mobility and defense. I need to move you. It's going to hurt. Without waiting for a response, she lifted Rodriguez using a specialized fireman's carry technique taught only to elite special operations units, distributing his weight with perfect balance that allowed for both movement in one-handed weapon operation. As hostile forces converged on their position, Westbrook moved with tactical precision through the battlefield. Her past selection use of available cover and engagement decisions reflected advanced combat experience, completely absent from her personnel file. Each time hostile forces appeared in their path, Westbrook engaged with deadly accuracy, neutralizing threats while maintaining Rodriguez's security. Her ammunition conservation target, prioritization, and tactical movement demonstrated expertise that went far beyond any communications specialist training. The canyon echoed with sporadic gunfire as Alpha Squad disintegrated across the battlefield. Harrington's voice occasionally crackled through the communications system, attempting to coordinate with Kowalski and Reeves, but true leadership had vanished with his first order to abandon unit integrity. Westbrook continued her methodical movement through enemy territory, carrying Rodriguez, while simultaneously collecting abandoned equipment from the battlefield. Each piece she recovered represented both tactical resources and intelligence denial to the pursuing forces. When Rodriguez lost consciousness from blood loss and shock, Westbrook found a defensible position within a small rock outcropping. She expanded the tourniquet treatment with advanced combat medicine techniques, administering emergency fluids and antibiotics from her specialized medical kit that exceeded standard field medical supplies. As dawn broke across the desert landscape, Westbrook established a hidden observation post overlooking the canyon where they had been ambushed. Through high-powered optics, she observed the hostile forces with analytical precision, documenting their equipment communication procedures and tactical deployments. The intelligence gathering revealed forces far more sophisticated than border smugglers. Their weapons, tactical gear, and operational protocols suggested military training and organization. More concerning was their communication equipment, which included encryption systems typically reserved for special operations units. Westbrook's expression remained professionally neutral as she cataloged this information, but her tactical assessment had expanded well beyond the original mission parameters. This wasn't a simple weapons trafficking operation, but something that suggested internal military connections and specialized intelligence. Miles away, Harrington had managed to rendezvous with Kowalski, but Reeves remained unaccounted for. The captain's tactical decision-making had partially recovered from the initial panic, but the weight of his actions hung heavily in the desert air between them. "We need to find Reeves and Rodriguez." Kowalski's tone carried unspoken judgment. Harrington stared across the harsh landscape, the rising sun illuminating the consequences of his failure. "Agreed." We moved back toward the last known position, maintain communication silence except for emergency signals. As they prepared to move, neither man spoke the truth that hung between them. They had abandoned their team under fire, violating the most fundamental principle of military leadership. Whatever the outcome of this mission, that fact would remain. Back at the observation post, Westbrook continued monitoring enemy movements while treating Rodriguez's wound. Her tactical planning had already expanded to include recovery of Reeves' collection of critical intelligence and eventual extraction of all personnel. Her eyes reflected a cold determination completely at odds with her supposed role as communication support. The combat skills she had displayed weren't those of someone with supplemental training, but the ingrained reflexes of an elite operator with extensive field experience. As Rodriguez drifted in and out of consciousness, Westbrook prepared for the next phase of operations. Whatever her true identity and purpose, one thing had become absolutely clear. Staff Sergeant Sarah Westbrook was not merely a communications specialist, and Alpha Squad's mission had become something far more complex than anyone had anticipated. The desert sun climbed higher, casting harsh shadows across the borderland battlefield, where Alpha Squad's mission had disintegrated into a fight for survival. The true test of training, character, and purpose had only just begun. The midday sun punished the desert landscape with merciless intensity. Within the natural rock shelter, Westbrook had established temperature remained marginally cooler than the exposed terrain. Rodriguez lay semi-conscious on a bed of tactical gear, his wounded leg professionally bandaged. The tourniquet had been replaced with pressure dressings and specialized hemostatic agents from Westbrook's unexpectedly comprehensive medical kit. Westbrook monitored his vital signs with practiced efficiency while maintaining surveillance of the surrounding terrain. Her movements reflected none of the fatigue expected after carrying a wounded man through hostile territory while simultaneously collecting abandoned equipment. Rodriguez stirred his eyes, focusing slowly on Westbrook's face. How bad? Through and through, femoral region, major blood loss controlled, infection risk significant but manageable with current supplies. Her assessment was clinically precise. You need proper medical evacuation within 24 hours. He struggled to sit upright, grimacing as pains shot through his leg. The others, unknown. Reeves was heading for the eastern ridge when we separated. Harrington and Kowalski location uncertain. Rodriguez processed this information, his expression darkening with the memory of their abandoned position. Harrington lost it. I've never seen him break like that. Westbrook continued her surveillance sweep, her response measured. Combat stress affects different operators in different ways. Sometimes experience makes the fear worse, not better. We've been in contact situations before. Nothing like this. Rodriguez studied Westbrook with new awareness. You're not just communication support, are you? She met his gaze briefly before returning to her surveillance. Focus on recovery. I need to establish our tactical options. From her position, Westbrook observed the enemy patrol patterns across the canyon floor. Their search grid was methodical, professional, demonstrating advanced training and coordination through specialized hand signals. These weren't cartel enforcers, but disciplined military operators functioning under coordinated command. She adjusted her specialized communication equipment, bypassing the standard frequencies, to monitor enemy transmissions. The encrypted channels revealed fragmented information, but enough to confirm her suspicions. The ambush had been planned well in advance with detailed intelligence about Alpha Squad's mission parameters and timeline. Westbrook's expression remained neutral, but her mind processed the tactical implications with cold precision. This wasn't a random encounter, but a deliberately planned operation targeting their specific team. The coordination equipment and tactical precision all pointed toward a professional military operation rather than criminal enterprises. She checked Rodriguez's medical status once more before preparing for reconnaissance. I need to expand our intelligence gathering. You maintain position and continue hydration protocol. Radio silence except for emergency signal. Rodriguez watched as Westbrook efficiently prepared her equipment, removing identifying markers and securing weapons with practiced expertise. Who are you really? She paused momentarily, evaluating her response options. Someone who's going to get you home alive. That's all that matters right now. With that, she vanished into the desert terrain with a stealth that belied her supposed role as support personnel. Miles away, Harrington and Kowalski struggled through the unforgiving landscape, their water supplies diminishing dangerously under the relentless sun. Without Rodriguez's navigation expertise or proper equipment, their movement efficiency had decreased dramatically. We're off course, Kowalski stated flatly, checking their position against landmark features. Moving too far south. Need to correct bearing 15 degrees north to reach the last known position. Harrington nodded, his face haggard with the psychological burden of his leadership failure. Each step through the scorching terrain felt like penance for abandoning his team. 20 years of exemplary service, now overshadowed by a moment of panic that violated every principle he had upheld throughout his military career. Water situation, he asked, his voice rough from dust and dehydration. Kowalski checked their remaining supplies. Critical, 4 hours at current consumption rate. The unspoken reality hung between them. Without additional supplies, they wouldn't reach their teammates before dehydration compromised their effectiveness completely. Desert operations required meticulous resource management, and their current situation violated every survival protocol. We need to find higher ground, Harrington decided, better visibility to locate potential water sources and possibly spot the others. As they altered course toward a rocky outcropping, Kowalski maintained professional discipline despite the growing tension. His sniper training included extensive survival protocols, but those assumed proper equipment and preparation, both now compromised by their hasty retreat. Sir, with respect, what happened back there? Harrington continued walking, his silence extending until Kowalski thought he might not answer. I lost it, he finally admitted. Saw Rodriguez go down and something just broke. Started seeing Iraq all over again. Turner bleeding out while we waited for extraction that never came. Kowalski processed this information without immediate judgment. Combat stress reactions could affect any operator regardless of experience. Still, abandoning wounded personnel violated the most fundamental principles of their profession. We go back. Find Rodriguez and Reeves, complete the mission, or extract together. Harrington nodded, the decision representing the beginning of redemption rather than its completion. The burden of command weighed heavier than the tactical gear on his shoulders. Each step a reminder of responsibilities abandoned in a moment of weakness. As they approached the rocky outcropping, a flash of movement caught Kowalski's attention. He signaled for immediate cover, both men dropping into defensive positions with practiced synchronization. Through his rifle scope, Kowalski observed a patrol moving through the terrain ahead. 4 men with military-grade equipment, moving with tactical precision that indicated professional training. 4 hostiles, military formation approaching from the east, 200 meters and closing. Harrington assessed their options with renewed tactical focus. Their position offered minimal concealment and no effective cover against prepared opponents. Engagement would reveal their location to any additional hostile forces in the area, while their ammunition supplies remain limited after the earlier firefight. We avoid contact. Circle wide to maintain our approach to the original position. Priority is finding our team. The decision reflected sound tactical judgment, demonstrating that Harrington's command capabilities had partially recovered from earlier failure. Kowalski acknowledged with a hand signal, both men beginning a careful withdrawal pattern designed to minimize visual and thermal signatures. As they maneuvered through the terrain, evidence of military presence increased. Communication equipment positioned at strategic locations. Surveillance measures disguised as natural features. Supply caches concealed within the landscape. Each discovery confirmed they faced an organized operation with substantial resources and preparation. "This isn't smugglers," Kowalski whispered as they paused behind a rock formation. "This is a military operation." Harrington nodded grimly. "Question is whose military?" As they continued their cautious movement, they discovered fresh tracks in the sandy soil. The pattern indicated someone dragging or carrying a heavy load with occasional blood droplets visible on exposed rocks. Rodriguez E. Kowalski confirmed, examining the sign. "Westbrook must be moving him, heading northeast toward the secondary extraction point." Harrington felt a complex mixture of hope and shame. If Rodriguez and Westbrook were mobile, survival possibilities increased significantly. However, the fact that Westbrook, a supposed communications specialist, had managed to evacuate a wounded comrade while he had fled reflected a devastating professional failure. They followed the trail, carefully alert for potential ambush. The tracks showed Westbrook had maintained impressive tactical awareness despite carrying Rodriguez, using terrain features for concealment and maintaining unpredictable movement patterns to confuse pursuit. "These movement decisions aren't standard training," Kowalski observed. "She's selecting routes that maximize concealment while maintaining observation advantages. That's advanced tactical circulation." Harrington's suspicions about Westbrook intensified. Her personnel file had shown no combat experience or specialized tactical training, yet her movement patterns reflected expertise typically acquired through years of operational experience. Their pursuit was interrupted by the sudden appearance of a solitary figure on the ridge above them. Both men dropped into defensive positions, weapons trained on the potential threat. "Hold fire," came a familiar voice. Reeves slid down the rocky slope to their position, his equipment dusty but intact. His expression reflected a complex mixture of relief and accusation. "Thought you two were long gone." "We came back," Harrington stated simply. "Any sign of Rodriguez and Westbrook?" Reeves gestured toward the northeastern ridge. "Spotted them about an hour ago." Westbrook had Rodriguez moving toward what looked like a natural shelter. "Couldn't approach directly with all the patrols in the area." "Westbrook had Rodriguez moving," Kowalski questioned. "His wound looked severe." "She was carrying him," Reeves confirmed. "Full tactical carry while maintaining security. Never seen anything like it from support personnel." The 3 men exchanged glances, each processing the implications of this information against their understanding of Westbrook's supposed role and qualifications. "We need to reach them," Harrington decided. "Reeves, what's the patrol situation between here and their position?" "Heavy activity, at least 3 teams operating in coordinated search patterns. These aren't random patrols, but professionally trained search teams. Military precision." Harrington considered this information against their limited resources and tactical options. We move carefully, maintain maximum distance from patrol routes. Priority is reaching Rodriguez and Westbrook without compromising their position. As Alpha Squad's fragmented components attempted to reunite, Westbrook moved through enemy territory with predatory precision. Her reconnaissance path reflected intimate familiarity with special operations protocols, utilizing terrain features and environmental conditions to minimize detection probability. She approached the enemy command post from the western ridge, a direction their security measures had identified as lowest risk due to the difficult terrain. The challenging approach required technical climbing skills, typically associated with specialized military units, allowing her to bypass standard security measures. From her elevated position, Westbrook documented the operation with methodical thoroughness. Her observations revealed a compound significantly more sophisticated than expected for border operations. Communication arrays with military-grade encryption, weapons storage facilities with organized inventory systems, personnel movements reflecting established military protocols rather than criminal organization. Most concerning was the presence of American military equipment far beyond the stolen sniper rifles mentioned in their mission briefing. Tactical vehicles with specialized modifications, communication systems requiring security clearance, weapons platforms with restricted technology, all indicated significant penetration of military supply chains rather than isolated theft. Westbrook recorded this intelligence using specialized equipment concealed within her communications pack. The documentation methods reflected counterintelligence training, creating encrypted data packages impossible to access without specific clearance protocols. As she maintained surveillance, a vehicle approached the compound. The occupants emerged, revealing the operation's apparent leadership. Westbrook focused her observation equipment on the central figure, a tall man with military bearing, directing operations with obvious authority. Recognition flashed in her eyes as she documented his features. Maxwell, former Delta Force operator, reportedly killed in Afghanistan 3 years earlier. His presence transformed her understanding of the operation from concerning to strategically significant. She adjusted her position to observe the command tent, utilizing specialized audio surveillance equipment to capture fragmented conversations. The intelligence gathered painted an increasingly alarming picture: coordinated weapons distribution to international terrorist organizations utilizing military supply chains compromised by internal operatives. Most disturbing was the mention of our colonel providing operational intelligence about Alpha Squad's mission. The reference confirmed Westbrook's suspicion that their mission had been compromised from within their own command structure. She completed her reconnaissance circuit by locating Reeves, who had been captured during the initial ambush. He was being held in a reinforced structure at the compound's eastern edge, his condition suggesting interrogation, but not severe torture at this stage. With intelligence gathering complete, Westbrook extracted from the observation position with the same methodical precision that had characterized her approach. Her movement patterns, equipment, utilization, and tactical decision-making all reflected specialized training far beyond her documented qualifications. Upon returning to Rodriguez's position, she found him conscious but weakening from infection, beginning to set in despite antibiotic treatment. Situation report, he asked, professional discipline, evident despite his deteriorating condition. Westbrook administered additional medical treatment while summarizing her findings. Confirmed military operation. American equipment well beyond our mission parameters. Reeves located alive at the main compound eastern sector. Rodriguez processed this information against his extensive operational experience. This isn't just smuggling. No, this is organized weapons distribution, utilizing compromised military supply chains. She checked his wound concern, briefly visible despite her controlled expression. The infection is advancing faster than anticipated. We need to extract within 12 hours. Harrington and Kowalski, no confirmation, but I observed evidence of their movement pattern approximately 2 kilometers southwest. They appear to be attempting to return to our last known position. Rodriguez attempted to rise but was restrained by Westbrook's firm hand. You've lost too much blood for movement. Conservation of resources is critical for survival. Before he could protest, Westbrook's specialized communication equipment detected movement approaching their position. She immediately shifted to defensive posture, weapon ready, as she positioned herself between the approach vector and Rodriguez. 3 figures emerged from the terrain, moving with tactical caution that identified them immediately. Harrington, Kowalski, and Reeves had managed to find their location. The reunion carried none of the relief typically associated with such moments. As Harrington approached, the weight of his earlier actions hung palpably between them. Rodriguez's expression revealed a mixture of professional respect for his commander and newfound uncertainty about his leadership. Westbrook maintained tactical security, her weapon lowered, but ready as she continued monitoring their perimeter. Her positioning demonstrated combat experience rather than support personnel protocols, a fact not lost on any team member. Rodriguez, what's your status? Harrington asked, professional concern mingled with evident guilt. Stable but degrading, infection setting in. Westbrook's kept me alive, but I need medical evacuation. Harrington turned to Westbrook, his expression reflecting complex reassessment. Good work, Sergeant. Her acknowledgement was minimal, professional, rather than emotional. Sir, I've completed a reconnaissance of the enemy compound. The situation exceeds our mission parameters significantly. The team gathered as Westbrook detailed her findings, displaying intelligence gathering and analysis capabilities far beyond communications specialization. Her briefing methodology reflected professional intelligence training, prioritizing actionable information while maintaining operational security. They're being led by Maxwell, she concluded. Harrington's expression transformed at the name. Maxwell is dead. Afghanistan 3 years ago. Negative, sir. Positive identification confirmed at 1600 hours today. Maxwell is operational and directing this entire distribution network. Kowalski and Reeves exchanged glances, recognizing the name from the operational history, but lacking the personal connection evident in Harrington's reaction. You know him, sir? Reeves asked. Harrington's gaze fixed on the distant horizon, memories visibly surfacing. Afghanistan, Operation Kingfisher. Maxwell was my second in command. We were compromised, surrounded, extraction point under heavy fire. The parallel to their current situation hung unspoken in the air. I made the call to withdraw without him, reported him killed in action when we couldn't recover his body. Harrington's voice carried the weight of past decisions now returned with devastating relevance. Now he's here, and he knew exactly when and where to hit us. Westbrook integrated this information into her tactical assessment without visible reaction. The operation mentioned their colonel providing intelligence about our mission. We were deliberately targeted based on inside information. The implications silenced everyone momentarily. Their mission had been compromised before it began, with someone in their command structure directly involved in the betrayal. Harrington visibly struggled with this information, the weight of command responsibilities colliding with personal history and recent failure. After several moments, he straightened professional discipline, reasserting control. We have 3 priorities. Get Rodriguez medical evacuation. Document this operation with actionable intelligence. Identify the internal breach. The directive represented a return to command authority, though the team's dynamics had fundamentally changed. Westbrook's demonstrated capabilities and Harrington's earlier failure had altered the implicit leadership structure regardless of formal rank. Westbrook, what extraction options exist given current hostile patrol patterns? She produced a detailed terrain map annotated with observed enemy positions, communication ranges, and patrol schedules. The level of precision and tactical assessment reflected intelligence training far beyond support personnel qualifications. Primary extraction, compromised. Secondary and tertiary, likely compromised based on observed surveillance coverage. Recommend creating custom extraction at these coordinates. She indicated a position on the eastern ridge. Natural terrain features disrupt their surveillance equipment. Patrol patterns show a consistent gap in coverage between 2300 and 2315 hours. Harrington studied her analysis, professional appreciation momentarily overriding his questions about her true identity and purpose. Communication options for extraction request. Standard channels compromised. I've established secure transmission using specialized frequencies not included in mission protocols. She indicated a modified communication device that had clearly been concealed within her standard equipment. Kowalski and Reeves exchanged glances that acknowledged what everyone now understood: Westbrook was operating with equipment training and knowledge completely inconsistent with her documented role. Harrington made his decision. We proceed with Westbrook's extraction plan. Rodriguez is priority for evacuation. We continue intelligence gathering on this operation while awaiting extraction. As the team prepared for night operations, Westbrook established a secure perimeter with efficiency that reflected extensive field experience. Her preparations included specialized countermeasures against thermal detection, frequency monitoring systems, and tactical positioning that maximized defensive options while maintaining multiple escape routes. Rodriguez observed her work from his position, professional appreciation evident despite his deteriorating medical condition. "Where did you really train, Westbrook?" She continued her preparations without breaking focus. "That's classified. Nothing about you matches your file. Focus on staying alive, Master Sergeant. Questions have their place after successful extraction." Kowalski approached having completed his assigned perimeter check. His sniper training made him the team's most observant member, and his assessment of Westbrook had evolved significantly since mission start. "Your carry technique for Rodriguez through the eastern section," he noted quietly. "That was Red Squadron methodology, never taught outside certain units." Westbrook met his gaze briefly, neither confirming nor denying his observation. "Check your equipment. We move at 2100 hours." As the desert sun finally relinquished its punishing heat to evening coolness, Alpha Squad prepared for night movement. Rodriguez was stabilized for transport, with Kowalski and Reeves creating an improvised stretcher that would allow tactical movement while maintaining his medical stability. Harrington approached Westbrook as she finalized the communication preparations for their extraction request. "You knew who I was from the beginning, didn't you?" His question carried the weight of command responsibility and personal accountability. Westbrook paused her preparations, evaluating her response options with evident calculation. "I knew your operational history, Captain Harrington, including Maxwell." "Yes. And you were assigned to this mission specifically." She met his gaze, directly professional rather than confrontational. "Focus on the current objective, sir. Personal histories and specialized assignments can be addressed after successful extraction." Her response provided confirmation without details, maintaining operational security while acknowledging the reality they both now recognized. Whatever Westbrook's true identity and purpose, she represented something beyond standard military structure. As darkness enveloped the desert landscape, Alpha Squad began their carefully coordinated movement toward the extraction point. Westbrook led the formation, her night navigation demonstrating specialized training and equipment beyond standard military issue. Kowalski and Reeves transported Rodriguez using the improvised stretcher, while Harrington maintained rear security. Their route utilized terrain features to minimize detection probability, avoiding established patrol routes documented during Westbrook's reconnaissance. Each movement decision reflected professional tactical assessment, balancing efficiency against security requirements. They had covered approximately 1 kilometer when Westbrook raised her closed fist, the universal signal for immediate halt. The team froze in position, maintaining complete silence as they awaited further instruction. Through specialized night vision equipment, Westbrook had detected an approaching patrol moving perpendicular to their planned route. 4 operators with military-grade equipment moving with tactical precision that indicated professional training. She signaled the tactical situation to the team, indicating a concealed position 50 meters to their right that offered both cover and concealment. The team responded with practiced coordination despite their injuries and equipment limitations. As they settled into the concealed position, Rodriguez's condition showed visible deterioration. His skin had developed a waxy pallor, indicating advancing infection, while his breathing pattern reflected increasing systemic stress. The need for medical evacuation had transitioned from urgent to critical. The patrol passed within 30 meters of their position, close enough to reveal tactical equipment inconsistent with standard military issue. Their communication procedures, equipment, configuration, and movement patterns all indicated specialized training comparable to elite military units. Once the patrol cleared their vicinity, Westbrook signaled for resumed movement. The team continued their careful progress toward the extraction coordinates, each member acutely aware that their survival depended on perfect execution under increasingly difficult conditions. Their advance was interrupted by Rodriguez suddenly losing consciousness, his medical condition deteriorating more rapidly than anticipated. Westbrook immediately moved to his position, conducting a rapid assessment with practiced medical expertise. "Septic shock beginning. We need immediate medical intervention." The team established a hasty defensive position while Westbrook administered emergency medical treatment from her specialized kit. Her actions reflected advanced combat medical training typically reserved for special operations medical personnel. He won't survive transport to the planned extraction point, she concluded after stabilizing his immediate condition. We need to establish emergency extraction at our current position. Harrington assessed their tactical situation. Current position offered limited defensibility and compromised their original extraction plan. However, Rodriguez's condition had become the determining factor rather than tactical preference. Proceed with emergency extraction request. Kowalski-Reeves established 360 security. I'll assist Westbrook with Rodriguez. As the team executed these instructions, Westbrook prepared her specialized communication equipment. Rather than utilizing standard emergency protocols, she activated an encrypted channel not included in their mission communications plan. Her transmission methodology reflected specialized training, utilizing burst transmission techniques to minimize detection probability while maximizing information transfer security. The equipment itself was clearly beyond standard military issue, incorporating technology typically restricted to classified operations. Phantom Actual, this is Phantom 3. Priority extraction required. Authentication Sierra Echo 59 Tango. Transmitting coordinates for immediate medical evacuation. One critical casualty. Hostile forces active in operational area. The response came almost immediately using matching encryption protocols. Phantom 3, Phantom Actual. Authentication confirmed. Extraction assets diverted to your position. ETA 18 minutes. Confirm landing zone security requirements. Landing zone compromised. Recommend aerial extraction without landing. Casualty requires immediate medical intervention. Understood. Special equipment package inbound. Maintain position and prepare for aerial extraction. Westbrook returned to the team, her expression revealing nothing of the significance of this exchange. Extraction inbound, 18 minutes. Aerial recovery without landing. Harrington processed this information against standard operational protocols. Emergency aerial extraction without landing required specialized equipment and training typically unavailable for standard reconnaissance missions. The immediate response and authentication protocols indicated predetermined contingency planning far beyond their mission parameters. Who are you really, Westbrook? He asked quietly, the question reflecting command responsibility rather than personal curiosity. She continued preparing Rodriguez for aerial extraction, her focus entirely professional. Someone who's going to get your team home alive, sir. That's what matters right now. Before further discussion could occur, Westbrook's monitoring equipment detected approaching hostile forces. Her response was immediate and decisive. Multiple contacts approaching from the southwest. Approximately 8 operators moving in tactical formation. ETA to our position, 4 minutes. The team immediately shifted to defensive posture, utilizing available terrain features for cover and concealment. Their ammunition supplies remained limited after the earlier engagement, creating significant tactical disadvantage against superior numbers. They must have detected our transmission despite encryption, Reeves observed, checking his remaining ammunition with controlled precision. Negative, Westbrook countered. Movement pattern indicates regular patrol rather than directed interception. They haven't identified our position yet. Harrington assessed their options with renewed tactical focus. We avoid engagement if possible, maintain concealment until extraction arrives. If compromised, we establish defensive perimeter with Rodriguez at protected center. The team acknowledged these instructions with professional discipline. Despite earlier failures and revealed secrets, combat necessity had restored operational cohesion. As the hostile patrol approached their position, the team maintained absolute stillness. Each member controlled breathing patterns and minute movements with disciplined precision, minimizing detection probability through practiced fieldcraft. The patrol passed within 20 meters of their position, close enough to reveal familiar equipment configurations. Westbrook observed their leader with particular attention, her expression momentarily hardening with recognition. When the patrol had moved beyond immediate detection range, Kowalski whispered, "You recognize someone." Hammer team leader, former special operations, reported killed in Yemen 2 years ago. Her response revealed operational knowledge inconsistent with her documented background. Maxwell is recruiting from presumed KIA special operations personnel. This information expanded their understanding of the operation beyond weapons distribution to something potentially more significant, a shadow force comprised of operators officially listed as killed in action operating outside official military structure. Extraction countdown reached 5 minutes with the patrol moving beyond effective engagement range. The team maintained security while Westbrook continued monitoring Rodriguez's deteriorating condition. The night stillness was shattered by the distant sound of approaching aircraft, its acoustic signature unfamiliar to standard military operations. Westbrook immediately activated specialized signal equipment, establishing encrypted communication with the approaching extraction asset. Aerial platform inbound. 2 minutes to position. Prepare for rapid extraction. The aircraft approached using terrain masking techniques to minimize detection probability, its flight pattern reflecting specialized pilot training beyond standard military aviation. As it closed on their position, its unusual configuration became visible through night vision equipment. "That's not standard military," Reeves observed with professional appreciation. "Specialized silent running configuration. Never seen that outside certain programs." The aircraft maintained extremely low altitude approach, utilizing terrain features for both concealment and acoustic masking. Its arrival at their position demonstrated precision hovering capabilities typically associated with advanced special operations aviation units. From the aircraft's specialized extraction equipment deployed with practiced efficiency, the system utilized a modified aerial recovery platform capable of extracting multiple personnel without requiring landing in hostile territory. Westbrook directed the extraction sequence with familiar expertise, prioritizing Rodriguez for immediate medical evacuation. Her commands reflected intimate knowledge of the equipment and procedures, demonstrating experience inconsistent with her documented qualifications. As hostile forces responded to the aircraft's presence with increased patrol activity, the extraction timeline compressed dramatically. The team executed the evacuation sequence with professional discipline, securing Rodriguez to the specialized platform before preparing for their own extraction. Harrington ensured his team's evacuation before his own reasserting command responsibility, despite earlier failures. As the aircraft maintained its precarious position, hostile forces closed on their location from multiple directions. Gunfire erupted from the southwestern approach, indicating their position had been compromised. Kowalski and Reeves immediately established defensive fire, providing security for the continuing extraction. Westbrook demonstrated advanced combat proficiency, engaging hostile forces with precision marksmanship that reflected specialized training far beyond support personnel qualification. Her target selection, ammunition conservation, and tactical positioning all indicated elite operator status rather than communication specialty. As extraction neared completion, with only Westbrook and Harrington remaining on the ground, Maxwell's voice suddenly carried across the battlefield. "Harrington, I knew you'd run again, just like Afghanistan." The psychological impact was immediate, threatening to trigger the same leadership collapse that had occurred during the initial ambush. Harrington visibly struggled against cascading stress response memories of past failure colliding with present crisis. Westbrook observed this reaction with clinical precision, immediately adjusting her tactical approach to account for potential leadership compromise. She positioned herself to maintain both defensive fire and potential intervention if Harrington's functionality deteriorated completely. Instead, something unexpected occurred. Harrington stabilized professional discipline, reasserting control over emotional response. He established effective defensive position and maintained controlled fire against approaching hostile forces. "Get to the extraction platform," he commanded Westbrook. "I'll provide covering fire and follow." She assessed his status with practiced evaluation before nodding acknowledgement. Her movement toward the extraction equipment reflected perfect tactical awareness, maintaining effective, suppressive fire while positioning for evacuation. As Westbrook secured herself to the extraction platform, Harrington continued defensive fire until ammunition depletion forced tactical withdrawal. He reached the extraction equipment just as hostile forces closed to dangerous proximity. The aircraft initiated immediate departure as Harrington secured himself, utilizing terrain features and acceleration capabilities to break contact with pursuing forces. Its departure vector reflected specialized tactical aviation protocols designed to minimize tracking probability while maximizing survivability. As the desert battlefield receded beneath them, Alpha Squad's shattered mission transitioned to its next phase. Rodriguez received immediate advanced medical care from Sports from specialized personnel aboard the aircraft, while the remaining team members secured equipment and prepared for debriefing. Westbrook maintained professional demeanor throughout her actions, reflecting operational discipline rather than emotional response to their narrow escape. She secured communication equipment, verified intelligence package integrity, and conducted preliminary casualty assessment with methodical precision. Harrington observed her with renewed tactical assessment, professional appreciation balanced against command responsibility for understanding personnel under his authority. Whatever Westbrook's true identity and purpose, the mission had expanded well beyond its original parameters into something with significant strategic implications. The aircraft banked toward an undisclosed location carrying Alpha Squad, away from the battlefield, but deeper into questions about betrayal, hidden identities, and operations existing beyond official military structure. As the desert night enveloped their departure, one certainty remained. Nothing about this mission was what it had initially appeared. The specialized aircraft maintained radio silence throughout the extraction flight, following an intricate evasion pattern designed to thwart even military-grade tracking systems. Inside the cabin's steel confines, the advanced medical equipment hummed with reassuring efficiency. Rodriguez lay stabilized on a medical platform where two operators with combat medic insignia administered treatment that went well beyond standard field protocols. Westbrook sat motionless, her posture betraying none of the fatigue that should have plagued her after their ordeal. The desert grit still clung to her uniform, but her hands moved with unwavering precision as she organized the intelligence materials gathered during the operation. She created a detailed documentation package with the methodical focus of someone who had performed this exact process dozens of times before. Across from her, Harrington studied her movements with a commander's evaluative gaze. The weight of his recent failure still pressed against his conscience, but the professional assessment now balanced against something new: respect. Reeves absently massaged his shoulder where shrapnel had grazed him during their escape, his eyes constantly scanning the aircraft's interior with the habitual vigilance of someone who'd learned the cost of complacency. Beside him, Kowalski maintained his characteristic stillness, hands resting lightly on his rifle case, the sniper's legendary patience evident in every controlled breath. "Rodriguez will make it," Reeves murmured to Kowalski, breaking his usual taciturn demeanor. The demolitions expert had developed an unlikely friendship with the navigator during their 3 previous missions together. "Tough old bastards survived worse in Kandahar." Kowalski nodded, the slight movement almost imperceptible. "He'll walk again. Might even thank Westbrook someday." A hint of dry humor flickered across his otherwise stoic expression, the rare glimpse of the man behind the precision shooter. The aircraft began its descent after 90 minutes of flight, approaching a facility unmarked on any standard military chart. The mountain terrain of northern Arizona unfolded beneath them, the facility's presence betrayed only by a precise sequence of landing lights that appeared momentarily before disappearing again, a coded welcome visible only to those who knew exactly where to look. As they touched down on the unmarked landing pad, the aircraft was immediately surrounded by a security team operating with the synchronized precision of elite operators. Their tactical equipment carried no standard military markings or unit insignia, yet their formation and procedures reflected unmistakable professional military protocols. The loading ramp descended with a hydraulic hiss, allowing medical personnel to transfer Rodriguez to awaiting medical transport. The efficiency of this operation suggested well-established protocols for receiving casualties under classified conditions. A figure approached from the command building, moving with the deliberate pace of someone who carried authority without needing to announce it. Brigadier General Thomas Lawson stood a weathered 6 feet, his silver hair cut with military precision, eyes that missed nothing scanning the returning team with practiced evaluation. His uniform lacked conventional insignia, but carried the unmistakable presence of command. "Welcome to Echo Base, Captain Harrington." The general's voice carried the graveled edge of someone who'd spent decades issuing orders that determined life or death. "Your team will receive full medical evaluation before debriefing. Staff Sergeant Westbrook, immediate report required." Westbrook nodded with professional acknowledgement, gathering her intelligence materials with practiced efficiency. The subtle exchange of glances between her and Lawson suggested an established relationship rather than a standard command interaction. Harrington stepped forward, command responsibility evident in his stance despite recent failures. "Sir, request permission to accompany Staff Sergeant Westbrook for immediate debriefing." My team encountered situations requiring command-level assessment. Lawson's weathered face revealed nothing as his eyes, the pale blue of high-altitude skies, evaluated Harrington with the precision of someone who'd spent a lifetime measuring men in moments of crisis. Medical evaluation first, Captain. Debriefing protocols will proceed according to established security requirements. As medical personnel directed Reeves and Kowalski toward the medical facility, Harrington remained rooted in place. His professional discipline held, but the suspicion growing since their extraction could no longer be contained. General, my team was compromised before mission initiation. We encountered Maxwell, believed killed in Afghanistan 3 years ago. Harrington's voice remained steady, though the memory of his former comrade twisted something inside him. He's running a sophisticated weapons distribution network, with apparent internal military support. Lawson's expression remained carefully neutral, though a subtle shift in his posture suggested heightened attention. All relevant intelligence will be processed through appropriate channels, Captain. Your priority is medical evaluation and standard debriefing. Before Harrington could respond, Westbrook approached her steps deliberate. Sir, I recommend Captain Harrington's inclusion in preliminary intelligence assessment. His historical knowledge of Maxwell provides contextual value for operational understanding. Something unspoken passed between Westbrook and Lawson, a communication beyond words suggesting established protocols that transcended standard military interactions. After brief consideration, Lawson nodded. Preliminary assessment only, medical evaluation to follow immediately. The 3 officers proceeded toward the command center, moving through security protocols that would have been excessive even at the Pentagon. Biometric verification, encrypted access systems, and multi-stage personnel authentication all pointed to a facility operating under classification levels that existed beyond conventional military structure. Inside the secure briefing room, Westbrook connected her specialized equipment to the facility systems with the familiarity of someone returning home. The intelligence package expanded across the tactical display, revealing comprehensive documentation of the border operation, personnel identification equipment, catalogs, communication intercepts, and supply chain analysis. Operation Classified Shadow Trade. Westbrook began her briefing methodology reflecting years of intelligence training rather than the communications specialization in her cover file. Former Special Operations personnel officially listed as killed in action, operating weapons distribution network with advanced military equipment. Communication intercepts confirm internal supply chain compromise at command level. Her fingers danced across the specialized interface, bringing up detailed personnel files. 17 confirmed operators, all officially listed as KIA between 2016 and 2023. Specializations ranging from Delta Force DevGru Rangers and specialized intelligence units. Images of faces appeared, men who had supposedly died serving their country now working against it. Maxwell appears to be operational director rather than strategic command. She continued, highlighting communication patterns on the display. References to the colonel suggest higher authority with active military access. Communication protocols indicate specialized military training consistent with special operations background. Lawson processed this information with practiced neutrality. Those subtle indicators, a tightening around the eyes, a slight tension in his jaw, suggested this confirmed existing suspicions, rather than presenting new information. Harrington studied the tactical display with growing certainty that he had been inserted into something far more complex than a standard reconnaissance mission. The facility personnel and operational security all indicated classified operations beyond conventional military structure. Maxwell recognized me immediately. He noted professional focus, overriding the personal wounds that recognition had reopened. Our mission was specifically targeted, suggesting precise intelligence about operational timeline and parameters. That requires access to classified mission planning at command level. Westbrook acknowledged this assessment with a subtle nod. Communication intercepts confirm prior knowledge of Alpha Squad deployment. Mission compromise originated at planning phase rather than operational execution. She brought up a new file on the display, the mission authorization for Alpha Squad, with Colonel Barrett's digital signature clearly visible. Analysis confirms document access patterns inconsistent with standard operational security. Information extraction occurred approximately 48 hours before mission deployment. Lawson activated secure communication systems with a quick sequence of commands initiating classified protocols. This confirms existing intelligence patterns. Phantom Directive now authorized for expanded operational parameters. The terminology carried no meaning within standard military frameworks, further confirming Harrington's suspicion about operating beyond conventional military structure. His tactical assessment shifted from mission parameters to strategic implications, recognizing that their border reconnaissance had become something with potential national security implications. So request clarification on operational status and command structure. Harrington's voice carried the weight of command responsibility, despite his confusion. My team encountered situations beyond mission parameters requiring comprehensive understanding for effective debriefing. Lawson considered this request against apparent security protocols, his weathered face revealing the calculation behind his eyes, the eternal balance between operational security and necessary disclosure. After brief consideration, he nodded to Westbrook. Limited disclosure authorized. Phantom Protocol 3. Westbrook accessed secured systems with authorization levels that would have been impossible for a staff sergeant. The tactical display shifted to reveal operational architecture, classified beyond standard military frameworks. Captain Harrington, you were inserted into Operation Phantom Hunter, a classified counterintelligence operation targeting suspected internal security compromise within Special Operations Command structure. Westbrook's voice now carried the unmistakable authority of someone with operational command rather than subordinate status. Your mission parameters were intentionally limited to maintain operational security while providing opportunity for identification of compromise vectors. Alpha Squad was selected based on operational history, with Maxwell creating potential identification opportunity. The implications struck Harrington with cold clarity. We were bait. Your mission was legitimate reconnaissance with additional counterintelligence parameters. Westbrook clarified her tone, reflecting operational precision rather than personal justification. Operational security required compartmentalized information distribution. The familiar military euphemisms couldn't disguise the fundamental truth: his team had been placed at risk without full disclosure of mission parameters. In your role, Harrington's question carried professional assessment rather than accusation, though the distinction grew increasingly blurred. Westbrook glanced at Lawson, receiving subtle confirmation before responding. Major Sarah Westbrook, Phantom Operations Division, Specialized Counterintelligence Unit, investigating internal security compromise within military command structure. The revelation confirmed Harrington's growing suspicions while expanding their implications beyond his anticipation. Westbrook's rank, unit designation, and operational authority all existed outside standard military structure, suggesting classified operations with strategic rather than tactical focus. Phantom Division was established following identified pattern of compromised special operations missions over the past 36 months. Lawson explained his authority, now contextually positioned within classified command structure. Operational indicators suggested internal compromise at command level, requiring specialized investigation methodology outside standard counterintelligence frameworks. He brought up a map showing mission failure points across 3 continents, 28 compromised operations, 64 operators lost. Pattern analysis suggested infiltration at planning level rather than field compromise. Harrington studied the display tactical assessment balanced against the human cost those statistics represented. You used my team to flush out Maxwell while identifying his internal support structure. Your operational history with Maxwell created unique identification opportunity. Westbrook confirmed without apology or justification. Mission parameters were designed to maintain legitimate operational focus while creating controlled conditions for intelligence gathering. The professional implications hung between them like an unspoken accusation. Alpha Squad had been inserted into a counterintelligence operation without disclosure, creating tactical vulnerability through information limitation. While strategically justified within intelligence frameworks, the operational consequences had included wounded personnel and compromised mission integrity. Before Harrington could respond, the tactical display updated with incoming intelligence. Rodriguez had stabilized under advanced medical treatment, his prognosis upgraded to favorable with expected full recovery. Reeves and Kowalski had completed initial medical evaluation with no significant issues identified beyond minor lacerations and dehydration. More concerning was the updated intelligence from the border operation. Surveillance assets had documented increased activity following Alpha Squad's extraction, suggesting accelerated operational timeline in response to compromised security. They're moving their timeline forward, Westbrook assessed with professional precision. Maxwell recognizes potential compromise and is accelerating weapons distribution to eliminate evidence. She brought up thermal imaging of the facility showing significantly increased movement patterns. Estimated 12-hour window before complete dispersal. Intel suggests final delivery coordinates for terrorist cell integration already established. Lawson activated secure communication channels, initiating classified operational protocols with practiced authority. Phantom team mobilization authorized. Full operational parameters activated under Directive 7. The command center transformed as personnel responded to these instructions with practiced efficiency, revealing an operational capability beyond standard military response protocols. Tactical systems activated specialized equipment prepared and communication channels secured under classification levels exceeding conventional military frameworks. Harrington observed this transformation with professional assessment, recognizing operational capability beyond his anticipated parameters. Whatever Phantom Division represented within military structure, its resources, personnel, and authority suggested strategic rather than tactical operational focus. What's Directive 7? He asked professional responsibility, maintaining focus on operational requirements despite personal implications. Preemptive counterintelligence intervention. Westbrook explained her role now clearly established within operational command structure rather than subordinate position. Accelerated timeline requires immediate action to secure evidence and prevent weapons distribution completion. She brought up detailed tactical schematics of the border facility. Primary objective remains confirmation and documentation of command-level compromise. Secondary objective is prevention of weapons dispersal to terrorist integration points. Lawson turned to Harrington Command Authority, balanced against operational security requirements. Captain Harrington, your official status remains medical evaluation and standard debriefing. However, operational circumstances create unique knowledge access requirements. His piercing blue eyes held Harrington's gaze with unwavering intensity. Your decision to participate in expanded operational parameters must reflect both professional responsibility and security implications. The decision point represented both professional and personal crossroads for Harrington. Standard military protocols would require complete debriefing and return to conventional command structure. Participating in classified operations beyond standard military framework carried significant professional implications regardless of outcome. More personally, it represented opportunity to address his failure during the initial ambush, potentially reestablishing professional integrity through operational contribution. The presence of Maxwell created both professional complication and personal redemption opportunity. Memories of Afghanistan flooded back the impossible choice between mission objectives and personnel safety, the decision that haunted his dreams for 3 years. Rodriguez lying wounded in the desert because of another impossible choice. The weight of command pressing down like the desert heat. Maxwell is my responsibility, Harrington stated with quiet determination. My operational history created this situation. My participation in resolution is both professionally appropriate and personally necessary. Something shifted in Lawson's weathered face, not approval exactly, but recognition. He nodded to Westbrook, another unspoken communication suggesting established operational methodology. Operational inclusion authorized under Phantom Protocol 3. Westbrook confirmed accessing secure systems with practiced efficiency. Limited disclosure parameters with appropriate security containment. The tactical display shifted to reveal operational planning for immediate intervention at the border facility. Intelligence assets had maintained surveillance following Alpha Squad's extraction, providing comprehensive documentation of facility capabilities, personnel movement, and operational timeline. Accelerated weapons distribution scheduled within 12-hour window. Westbrook briefed transitioning fully to operational command role rather than subordinate position. Primary target remains identification and confirmation of internal compromise at command level. She highlighted a section of the facility schematics. Thermal imaging identifies Central Command Section as primary intelligence repository. Digital communication patterns suggest encrypted channels to military command structures operating through this node. The operational planning reflected specialized methodology beyond conventional military protocols, utilizing asymmetric approaches, limited personnel deployment, and precision intervention, rather than overwhelming force application. The strategy emphasized intelligence acquisition and confirmation, rather than conventional military objectives. Your operational history with Maxwell creates both advantage and vulnerability. Westbrook noted her assessment directed toward Harrington with tactical precision. Psychological response during initial contact demonstrated potential operational compromise under specific stimulus conditions. The observation struck with clinical accuracy, addressing Harrington's failure during the ambush without emotional judgment. The assessment reflected professional evaluation of operational capability rather than personal criticism. Acknowledged, Harrington responded with matching professionalism. Preparatory conditioning and contingency protocols can address potential vulnerability while maintaining operational advantage. His straightforward acceptance of both criticism and vulnerability reflected leadership growth rather than defensive posturing. The integration of failure rather than its denial demonstrated professional maturity developed through painful experience. Westbrook studied him with evaluative precision, assessing operational capability against potential compromise risk. After thorough consideration, she nodded acceptance of his assessment. Operational insertion proceeds under modified parameters. Captain Harrington provides Maxwell engagement, while Phantom Team secures intelligence objectives and confirmation evidence. As operational planning continued, the medical facility doors opened to admit Reeves and Kowalski. Their expressions reflected professional curiosity balanced against operational discipline, observing the classified facility without direct questioning. Reeves rolled his shoulder experimentally, testing the medical treatment applied to his shrapnel wound. Despite his compact build, the demolitions expert carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who understood exactly how much force was required to break things or people. His dark eyes took in the command center with practiced observation, cataloging potential threats and exits with unconscious habit. Beside him, Kowalski's lanky frame seemed perpetually relaxed, though the sniper's eyes never stopped moving, measuring distances and angles with professional precision. The juxtaposition of apparent casualness and lethal capability made him particularly effective in both combat and intelligence gathering operations. Reeves-Kowalski's situation update required. Harrington directed maintaining command responsibility despite the altered operational framework. We've been operating within expanded parameters beyond original mission briefing. He provided concise operational summary, maintaining appropriate security limitations while ensuring his team received necessary tactical information. The briefing reflected professional command responsibility rather than personal justification, focusing on operational requirements rather than explanations for previous limitations. So, Westbrook's actually a major poem. Reeves concluded his typical economy with words intact. Rodriguez gets shot, and now we're fighting our own people. The demolitions expert shook his head slightly. Tuesday in Special Ops. His understated gallows humor broke the tension, momentarily reflecting the coping mechanisms common among operators who routinely faced impossible situations. Situations more complex than standard operations. Kowalski observed quietly, his sniper's analytical mind already processing tactical implications. Command compromise explains the precision of the ambush. They knew exactly where we'd be. Harrington nodded acknowledgement. Operational status update required. We've been authorized for inclusion in follow-up operation under specialized command structure. His gaze moved between his two remaining functional team members. Participation remains voluntary given operational classification beyond standard deployment parameters. Both operators exchanged evaluative glances before responding with professional certainty. We complete the mission, sir, Reeves stated with quiet determination. Rodriguez deserves that much. Kowalski nodded agreement, adding with unexpected emotion. That bastard Barrett already set us up. I want to see this through. The usually stoic sniper had served under Barrett for 3 previous deployments, the betrayal cutting deeper than he'd normally acknowledge. Westbrook observed this interaction with clinical assessment, evaluating team cohesion and operational capability within modified parameters. Her analysis reflected specialized training in personnel evaluation beyond conventional military frameworks. Integration authorized. She confirmed returning attention to tactical planning with smooth transition. Operation proceeds under combined parameters with appropriate security protocols. The operational planning accelerated with practiced efficiency, incorporating Alpha Squad's capabilities within specialized Phantom Division methodology. Tactical systems prepared specialized equipment, intelligence assets, provided real-time surveillance updates, and communication protocols established secure operational framework. Within 90 minutes, the combined operational team prepared for immediate deployment. The equipment allocation revealed Phantom Division's specialized capabilities, providing tactical systems beyond conventional military issue. Advanced communication equipment, specialized weapons platforms, and classified infiltration technology all indicated operational capability exceeding standard special operations parameters. Harrington secured his equipment with practiced discipline, professional methodology, maintaining focus despite significant revelations about operational framework. The weight of command responsibility had become oddly lighter after confronting his failure, directly creating balanced perspective that acknowledged both responsibility and redemption opportunity. As the team prepared for deployment, Lawson approached Harrington with command presence, balanced against operational reality. Captain Harrington, operational circumstances create unique command structure requirements. Major Westbrook maintains operational authority under Phantom protocols, while your tactical experience with Maxwell provides specialized capability. The general's weathered face revealed nothing of his personal assessment. Effective integration requires clear understanding of operational hierarchy, despite conventional rank considerations. The implication was clear, despite diplomatic presentation. Westbrook would command the operation regardless of her conventional rank relative to Harrington's position. The specialized nature of Phantom Division created operational authority beyond standard military hierarchy. Understood, sir, Harrington acknowledged without hesitation or reservation. Operational effectiveness requires appropriate command structure, regardless of conventional parameters. His response reflected professional maturity, rather than ego preservation, recognizing that operational success superseded personal considerations. The leadership failure during the ambush had provided harsh perspective on priority alignment between personal authority and mission accomplishment. Something approaching approval flickered momentarily in Lawson's eyes before the professional mask returned. Operational security remains priority. All intelligence regarding Phantom Division classification remains compartmentalized regardless of mission outcome. Clear parameters, sir. Harrington confirmed, understanding the larger implications beyond immediate operational requirements. Westbrook observed this exchange with evaluative precision, her assessment measuring operational integration capability rather than psychological response. The analysis apparently satisfied operational requirements as she nodded brief acknowledgement before returning to final preparation protocols. The deployment utilized specialized aircraft with acoustic and thermal signature suppression capabilities exceeding conventional military technology. Its approach methodology incorporated terrain masking techniques and specialized navigation systems designed to avoid detection by both conventional and advanced surveillance equipment. During the approach flight, Westbrook conducted final operational briefing with precise methodology that reflected extensive experience in specialized missions. The briefing incorporated conventional military protocols while introducing specialized elements unique to Phantom Division operations. Primary objective remains confirmation of internal compromise at command level. She explained tactical display, highlighting relevant intelligence with methodical precision. Maxwell represents secondary objective valuable for intelligence purposes, but not mission critical for primary objective achievement. She brought up detailed facility schematics with key positions highlighted. Surveillance indicates command center contains digital evidence linking communication channels directly to military command structure. Primary team secures this intelligence, while secondary team manages containment parameters. Harrington processed this information against both military training and personal motivation. While professional discipline acknowledged the operational priority, personal responsibility created internal tension regarding Maxwell's status. Maxwell's personal knowledge creates significant intelligence value. He noted balancing operational input against command structure acknowledgement. His historical access to classified operations potentially provides direct connection to command-level compromise. Beyond the operational considerations lay the unspoken personal element, the need for resolution of their shared history in Afghanistan, where impossible choices had created enduring consequences. Westbrook evaluated this assessment with analytical precision. Valid operational assessment. Maxwell prioritization upgraded to parallel primary objective status. Capture parameters authorized under Phantom Protocol 5. The aircraft approached the target area using specialized insertion methodology, its flight pattern utilizing terrain features and atmospheric conditions to minimize detection probability. The deployment zone positioned the team 5 kilometers from the border facility, providing approach options that balance security against time constraints. The team deployed with practiced coordination, each member transitioning from aircraft to ground operations with minimal signature generation. Their movement formation reflected both conventional special operations protocols and specialized elements unique to Phantom methodology. Westbrook led the formation with natural authority, her movement patterns demonstrating advanced fieldcraft beyond conventional special operations training. Harrington maintained secondary leadership position, his tactical experience complementing her specialized methodology while supporting established command structure. Reeves moved with the focused intensity of someone intimately familiar with explosive force containment, his demeanor reflecting the controlled precision necessary in his demolition specialty. Years of calculating exact force requirements had created a personality that balanced meticulous attention to detail with occasional sardonic humor. Kowalski maintained Overwatch position, the sniper's natural habitat, allowing his specialized skills optimal deployment. His seemingly relaxed demeanor masked extraordinary focus, measuring distances, wind variables, and potential engagement scenarios with unconscious precision. The remaining team members, specialized Phantom operators with classified training, maintained precise operational discipline throughout the approach. Their integrated movement patterns revealed extensive training and coordinated operations despite limited preparation time. As they established observation position overlooking the border facility, intelligence gathering accelerated with methodical precision. Specialized surveillance equipment documented facility activities, personnel movements, and operational patterns, with detail exceeding conventional military capability. Accelerated timeline confirmed. Westbrook assessed analyzing surveillance data with practiced efficiency. Weapons distribution, preparation indicates 12-hour window before completion. Maxwell present in command structure with 4 additional operators previously listed as killed in action. She highlighted thermal signatures showing equipment being loaded onto transport vehicles. Preparation for distribution phase initiated approximately 90 minutes ago. Timeline corresponds with our extraction detection. Harrington studied the facility with professional assessment, tactical analysis, identifying both conventional vulnerabilities and specialized security measures. Northern approach provides optimal insertion vector. Security patterns indicate 20-minute window between surveillance cycles. His evaluation reflected decades of operational experience balanced against the facility's observed security protocols. The assessment demonstrated tactical expertise regardless of recent failure experience, validating his continued operational value. Westbrook acknowledged this assessment with operational integration rather than command reinforcement. Insertion proceeds through Northern Vector. Primary team secures intelligence objectives, while secondary team establishes containment parameters for personnel security. The operational plan reflected balanced methodology, incorporating both conventional military protocols and specialized Phantom division approaches. The integration demonstrated effective command structure acknowledgement while utilizing appropriate tactical capabilities regardless of organizational origin. As final preparations completed, Harrington approached Westbrook with professional rather than personal motivation. Request position on Maxwell intercept team, he stated directly. Operational history creates both tactical advantage and appropriate responsibility assignment. The unspoken dimension, his need to confront both Maxwell and his own past decisions, remained acknowledged but unaddressed, maintaining professional focus despite personal implications. Westbrook evaluated this request with analytical precision rather than authority reinforcement. Request acknowledged with operational merit. Position authorized with appropriate contingency protocols for potential psychological compromise under specific stimulus conditions. Her assessment balanced operational requirements against potential vulnerability, creating effective framework that acknowledged both capability and limitation. The approach demonstrated Phantom Division's apparent methodology, prioritizing operational effectiveness above conventional military formality. Contingency protocols accepted. Harrington confirmed understanding both the operational and personal dimensions of his request. The team initiated approach under optimized environmental conditions, utilizing natural darkness in weather patterns to minimize detection probability. Their movement methodology incorporated both conventional military protocols and specialized elements unique to Phantom operations, creating effective tactical integration despite organizational differences. Facility penetration proceeded through identified security gaps, the team utilizing specialized equipment to bypass surveillance systems without generating detection signatures. Their movement through the facility reflected practice coordination between conventional military experience and specialized Phantom methodologies. The team separated according to operational plan, with Westbrook leading primary intelligence acquisition, while Harrington directed Maxwell intercept with Reeves and Kowalski providing tactical support. The separation created parallel operational capability while maintaining integrated command structure through specialized communication protocols. Westbrook's team moved through the facility with predatory precision, their movement patterns nearly invisible to conventional security systems. They reached the command center without detection, utilizing specialized equipment to access secured systems containing distribution network intelligence. Primary objective acquired, Westbrook confirmed through secured communication channel after several tense minutes of digital extraction. Intelligence confirms a command-level compromise. She uploaded a secure data packet showing unmistakable evidence. Colonel Barrett identified as primary internal source with operational support from General Reynolds. The image showed Barrett receiving payment from an intermediary linked directly to weapons distribution networks. Accompanying financial records documented significant transfers corresponding with compromised mission timelines. Reynolds' involvement appeared more strategic, providing access to classified personnel status and operational planning. Barrett provided direct operational intelligence on Alpha Squad mission parameters. Westbrook continued, her voice maintaining professional detachment despite the betrayal implications. Reynolds facilitated personnel recruitment through falsified KIA classifications, providing Maxwell with operators officially listed as killed in action. The confirmation created strategic implications beyond their immediate tactical situation. Barrett's direct involvement with Alpha Squad mission planning explained the precise intelligence that had enabled the ambush, while Reynolds' position within Special Operations Command structure provided access to classified personnel status, essential for recruiting supposedly killed operators. The evidence revealed a betrayal extending beyond financial motivation into ideological territory. Communication records showed both officers expressing disillusionment with military leadership and foreign policy decisions, creating self-justification narrative for their treasonous activities. Evidence secured and transmitted, Westbrook confirmed, proceeding to secondary objective support. Simultaneously, Harrington's team located Maxwell in the facility's southern section, coordinating weapons distribution with practiced authority that reflected extensive operational experience. The intercept position provided both tactical advantage and containment capability, balancing capture requirements against security considerations. Target acquired, Harrington confirmed through secured communication, proceeding with the intercept under Protocol 5 parameters. The team initiated synchronized approach, utilizing specialized equipment to neutralize Maxwell's security measures without alerting additional facility personnel. Their movement reflected practice coordination between conventional military expertise and specialized Phantom methodologies. Maxwell detected their approach despite precautionary measures, his own specialized training providing tactical awareness beyond normal parameters. His response demonstrated professional precision as he established defensive position while activating facility security protocols. "Harrington," he called with calculated provocation, his voice carrying through the darkened corridor. "Back to finish what you started in Afghanistan, or running away again." The psychological warfare reflected intimate knowledge of potential vulnerability points, attempting to trigger the same stress response that had compromised Harrington's leadership during the initial ambush. The approach demonstrated both tactical sophistication and personal vindictiveness. Unlike the previous encounter, Harrington maintained complete tactical focus despite the psychological pressure. The failure in the desert had been confronted and integrated rather than suppressed, creating resilience where vulnerability had previously existed. Maxwell facility compromised. Extraction assets inbound. Surrender protocols available under specialized parameters. The offer followed standard military procedure despite personal history maintaining professional discipline rather than emotional response. The approach demonstrated leadership recovery through experience integration rather than psychological suppression. Maxwell's response combined tactical movement with continued psychological pressure. Like the surrender options you gave me in Afghanistan, bitterness edged his voice as he maintained defensive positioning. Operational abandonment followed by official death declaration offers limited negotiation credibility. He initiated tactical withdrawal towards secondary facility sections, utilizing specialized knowledge of security systems to create pursuit complications. The methodology demonstrated both professional training and strategic thinking beyond emotional reaction. Target mobile towards Sector 4. Harrington reported through secured communication, maintaining operational focus despite psychological pressure. Request containment support at secondary exits while primary team maintains pursuit. Westbrook acknowledged while completing intelligence acquisition with practiced efficiency. Containment team deployed. Primary intelligence secured with confirmation evidence. Proceeding to support intercept operation. Reeves moved into flanking position with practiced stealth, the demolitions expert utilizing his compact build for optimal concealment. Eastern corridor secured. Target approaching intersection with limited visibility. On the opposite side, Kowalski established overwatch position covering potential escape routes. Sniper position established. 3 additional hostiles approaching from southern corridor. Maxwell appears to have triggered silent alarm systems. Maxwell's tactical retreat demonstrated specialized training as he utilized facility architecture for defensive advantage while maintaining movement toward apparent extraction options. His methodology reflected professional discipline despite clearly personal motivation regarding Harrington's presence. "They really threw you away, didn't they, James?" Maxwell called, his voice echoing through the corridor as he maintained movement. "Left you in the dark about your own mission. Some things never change." The psychological warfare continued alongside tactical maneuvering, attempting to create distraction through emotional provocation. The approach reflected both combat training and intimate knowledge of Harrington's psychological profile. Command compromise identified and confirmed Maxwell. Harrington responded, maintaining professional focus while acknowledging the underlying truth in Maxwell's accusation. Barrett and Reynolds exposed with complete evidence chain. Operation completely documented. This information created momentary hesitation in Maxwell's movement, tactical intelligence affecting strategic calculations. His pause provided the operational advantage Harrington had anticipated. Breach position ready, Reeves confirmed through communication channel. Waiting for execution order. Harrington gave the command initiating synchronized containment maneuver. Specialized flash suppressed breaching charges detonated simultaneously, creating controlled access points while minimizing structural damage and personnel injury risk. The pursuit continued through facility sections with increasing tactical complexity, both Harrington and Maxwell demonstrating specialized training beyond conventional military parameters. Their operational duel reflected both professional capability and personal history, creating unique tactical situation incorporating multiple motivation layers. As Maxwell approached his planned extraction point, he encountered prepared containment positions established through Westbrook's tactical anticipation. The specialized deployment created controlled environment without viable escape options, transforming tactical situation from pursuit to containment. Surrender protocols remain available. Harrington offered with professional discipline rather than personal vindication. Facility secured with extraction assets deployed. Operational parameters authorize appropriate integration opportunities under specialized protocols. The offer reflected standard military procedure for high-value intelligence assets, providing negotiation framework despite personal history. The approach demonstrated professional priority over emotional response, maintaining operational focus despite significant provocation opportunity. Maxwell evaluated his tactical options with practiced precision, calculating survival probabilities against available resources. After thorough analysis, he lowered his weapon with professional acknowledgement rather than emotional surrender. Still following protocols when convenient, he noted bitterness edging his voice. Some leadership patterns remain consistent despite tactical variations. The personal accusation carried legitimate operational history despite its emotional delivery. Afghanistan had created complex leadership situation where mission parameters and personnel safety created conflicting priorities without optimal resolution options. Afghanistan created impossible choices with incomplete information. Harrington acknowledged without defensiveness or justification. He met Maxwell's gaze directly professional accountability balanced against operational necessity. Leadership failure exists alongside operational necessity, creating complex evaluation requirements beyond binary assessment. The response reflected both professional accountability and operational understanding, acknowledging failure without surrendering to unproductive guilt. The balanced perspective demonstrated leadership growth through experience integration rather than psychological compartmentalization. Maxwell studied Harrington with evaluative precision, professional assessment momentarily overriding personal grievance. Interesting leadership evolution. Failure integration rather than justification suppression. A hint of reluctant respect colored his observation. Unexpected development from someone who left me to die. I made the wrong call, Harrington acknowledged simply. Choosing mission over man, living with that mistake taught hard lessons about what matters. Before Maxwell could respond, Westbrook arrived with the primary team, their specialized equipment, securing both Maxwell and intelligence materials with practiced efficiency. Their operational methodology reflected established protocols for high-value asset management beyond conventional military procedures. Primary and secondary objectives secured, Westbrook confirmed through command communication channels. Extraction proceeding under Phantom Protocol 8 with appropriate security containment. The operation concluded with methodical precision, specialized teams securing intelligence materials, personnel assets, and operational evidence with practice coordination. Their methodology demonstrated integration between conventional military protocols and specialized Phantom Division approaches, creating effective operational framework despite organizational differences. As extraction aircraft approached, Harrington observed the secured Maxwell with professional assessment rather than personal vindication. Their shared history had created complex operational situation, incorporating both legitimate grievance and necessary resolution, demonstrating that military operations often exist within ethical gray areas, resistant to simplistic evaluation. What happens to him? Harrington asked Westbrook as the aircraft landed. Specialized interrogation followed by potential integration under controlled parameters. She explained without elaboration. High-value intelligence assets receive appropriate handling protocols depending on cooperation levels and intelligence value assessment. The approach reflected Phantom Division's apparent methodology, balancing operational requirements against ethical frameworks, creating complex response to betrayal situations beyond conventional military justice system. Westbrook approached Harrington as the teams prepared for extraction, her professional demeanor maintained despite operational success. Captain Harrington, your operational contribution provided significant tactical advantage despite potential vulnerability concerns. Integration methodology demonstrated effective adaptation capability beyond standard parameters. The professional acknowledgement reflected operational assessment rather than personal commendation, evaluating capability rather than emotional response. The approach demonstrated Phantom Division's apparent methodology, emphasizing functional effectiveness above conventional recognition systems. Phantom Division operates interesting parallel framework, Harrington noted with professional curiosity rather than jurisdictional concern. Specialized methodology creates unique operational capabilities beyond conventional military limitations. Specialized requirements create specialized solutions. Westbrook acknowledged without elaboration or unnecessary disclosure. Operational necessity sometimes requires unconventional frameworks when conventional systems contain inherent vulnerability points. The exchange reflected professional understanding between experienced operators rather than organizational competition. Both recognized that military effectiveness sometimes required specialized approaches operating alongside conventional frameworks rather than replacing established systems. As they boarded the extraction aircraft, Reeves approached with uncharacteristic hesitation. Sir Rodriguez should know what happened here. The truth about Barrett. Harrington considered this request against operational security requirements and personal loyalty considerations. He deserves that much. I'll speak with Major Westbrook about appropriate disclosure parameters. Kowalski joined them, his typically stoic expression showing rare animation. What happens to Barrett and Reynolds' regular courts-martial seem insufficient. Specialized handling protocols, Westbrook interjected, having overheard the conversation. Appropriate justice mechanisms exist for command-level compromise situations beyond conventional military frameworks. Her clinical terminology couldn't disguise the implications. Barrett and Reynolds would face consequences outside public awareness, maintaining operational security while ensuring appropriate accountability. The extraction proceeded with practiced coordination, specialized aircraft, utilizing tactical departure vectors designed to minimize detection probability. Maxwell remains secured under protocols reflecting both intelligence value and security requirements, his status now transitioning from operational adversary to intelligence asset. As they departed the operational area, Harrington observed the desert landscape receding beneath them, the borderlands returning to apparent normalcy despite significant operations occurring beyond public awareness. The perspective provided appropriate reminder that military operations often existed within complex ethical frameworks requiring balanced assessment rather than simplistic evaluation. The mission had begun with conventional parameters and evolved through failure revelation and eventual resolution. Throughout this progression, the consistent requirement remained professional responsibility balanced against personal limitation, creating leadership opportunity through honest integration rather than artificial perfection. Westbrook observed Harrington's contemplative expression with analytical precision. Operational completion provides limited resolution for leadership evolution. Integration process continues beyond specific mission parameters. The insight demonstrated perceptive understanding beyond tactical assessment, recognizing that professional growth occurs through continuous integration rather than singular experiences. The observation reflected specialized training and personnel evaluation beyond conventional military frameworks. Harrington acknowledged with professional appreciation, evolution requires continuous integration rather than artificial resolution points. Leadership growth occurs through honest assessment within operational continuation rather than emotional closure. The exchange reflected mutual recognition of professional development principles beyond conventional military frameworks or risks, creating potential foundation for continued operational relationship despite organizational differences. 3 months later, Rodriguez walked into the rehabilitation center's gymnasium with only a slight limp betraying his previous injury. The advanced medical treatment protocols had accelerated his recovery beyond conventional expectations, returning him to operational readiness ahead of medical predictions. Looking almost human again, Rodriguez, Kowalski observed with a characteristic understatement as he and Reeves waited by the gymnasium entrance. Might even be ready for actual work soon. Rodriguez grinned, the expression lighting his weathered features. 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Doctors call it miraculous. I call it stubborn. The 3 operators moved through the facility with comfortable familiarity developed through shared operational experience. Their conversation reflected professional camaraderie balanced against the unspoken understanding of their unique shared history. Barrett got what was coming to him, Reeves informed Rodriguez quietly as they walked. Can't tell you details, but justice happened. Different kind than courts, but appropriate. Rodriguez nodded, understanding, his expression hardening momentarily. Man sets up his own team. No punishment too harsh. Reynolds too, Kowalski added. 17 good operators turned because of his lies. Maxwell was just a symptom. The conversation revealed appropriate disclosure parameters established between conventional military structure and Phantom Division operations, creating balanced information sharing while maintaining operational security. And the mystery woman, Rodriguez inquired with professional curiosity. Westbrook's real identity remains classified, but operational awareness authorized for team continuity, Kowalski explained with uncharacteristic verbosity. She's continued specialized operations under appropriate command structure. Their discussion reflected integrated understanding of complex operational frameworks beyond conventional military parameters, demonstrating professional growth through extraordinary experience. Harrington Rodriguez asked his question, carrying deeper implications about leadership recovery and professional rehabilitation. Different assignment, Reeves replied with meaningful glance. Specialized training development responsibility. Leadership evolution application for emerging officers. The information suggested appropriate professional development pathway, incorporating recent experience into institutional improvement, creating positive outcome from complex operational situations. 6 months after the border operation, Fort Bragg Training Center hosted specialized leadership development program for promising officers selected for potential command positions. The curriculum incorporated both conventional military leadership principles and specialized elements addressing potential failure integration, ethical complexity, and operational adaptability. Harrington directed practical exercises with experienced authority, his instructional methodology reflecting both professional expertise and personal experience with leadership challenges. His approach emphasized honest assessment, appropriate responsibility, and continuous improvement rather than artificial perfection. Leadership exists in the gray areas between protocols and people. He explained to the assembled officers, his voice carrying the weight of hard-earned wisdom, between mission requirements and human limitations, between what the manual says and what the moment demands. The training methodology incorporated realistic scenario development, creating complex ethical situations requiring balanced assessment rather than formulaic responses. The approach developed decision-making frameworks beyond conventional military doctrine, preparing officers for operational realities beyond textbook scenarios. Failure isn't the opposite of leadership. Harrington continued his expression reflecting both professional confidence and personal humility. It's an essential component of leadership development when properly integrated rather than defensively justified. The instructional approach reflected his own leadership evolution, transforming personal failure experience into institutional improvement opportunity through appropriate knowledge transfer. The methodology demonstrated professional maturity beyond conventional military frameworks. As the training session concluded, a familiar figure appeared at the classroom entrance. Major Sarah Westbrook observed the proceedings with analytical precision, her professional demeanor unchanged despite the intervening months. Captain Harrington, your leadership development program shows interesting methodological integration beyond conventional parameters. Her presence suggested continued operational intersection between conventional military structure and specialized divisions operating beyond standard frameworks. The approach demonstrated military effectiveness through complementary systems rather than competing methodologies. Major Westbrook. Operational effectiveness requires continuous evolution through experience integration. Some lessons require specialized learning environments best shared through appropriate frameworks. Their exchange carried deeper significance beyond the formal words acknowledgement of unique operational relationship developed through extraordinary circumstances. The professional respect reflected mutual recognition of complementary capabilities despite organizational differences. Rodriguez has returned to operational status, she informed him with subtle satisfaction, breaking through her professional demeanor. Recovery exceeded medical expectations through specialized treatment protocols and personal determination. The information provided appropriate closure to their shared operational experience, confirming positive outcome despite significant challenges. The approach demonstrated continued relationship beyond immediate operational requirements. Appropriate outcome for exceptional operator, Harrington acknowledged with genuine satisfaction. Team restoration represents significant achievement despite operational complexities. As Westbrook prepared to depart, Harrington considered their unique operational relationship with professional assessment. Future operational integration remains potential consideration under appropriate circumstances. The question reflected professional interest in continued cooperation, rather than personal consideration, maintaining appropriate boundaries while acknowledging operational effectiveness. Specialized requirements continue developing within evolving security frameworks. Westbrook confirmed with characteristic precision. Operational integration protocols remain available under appropriate parameters when mutual objectives align. The exchange established foundation for potential future cooperation without specific commitments or unnecessary disclosures. The approach demonstrated professional relationship development beyond conventional military frameworks. As a new class of officers arrived for specialized training, both Harrington and Westbrook recognized their unique opportunity to influence military effectiveness through appropriate knowledge transfer. The approach represented professional responsibility beyond personal advancement, creating institutional improvement through individual experience. Rodriguez, Reeves, and Kowalski continued operational deployments within conventional military structure, their experience providing enhanced capability through extraordinary circumstances. Their professional development incorporated lessons from specialized operations while maintaining appropriate security parameters. Colonel Barrett and General Reynolds faced appropriate consequences for their betrayal, though the specific mechanisms remained classified beyond conventional military justice system. The accountability occurred beyond public awareness while maintaining necessary security protocols, creating appropriate balance between justice and operational security. Maxwell provided valuable intelligence under specialized handling protocols, his cooperation balanced against security considerations and appropriate accountability requirements. The approach demonstrated complex ethical frameworks beyond conventional military justice, creating operational value from betrayal situations. The leadership evolution continued beyond specific operational parameters, demonstrating that military effectiveness ultimately depended on continuous adaptation rather than rigid adherence to established frameworks. The principle applied equally to conventional military structure and specialized divisions operating beyond standard parameters, creating complementary capability through appropriate integration rather than organizational competition. Phantom Division maintains specialized operations addressing unique security requirements beyond conventional military frameworks, their methodology providing essential capability within evolving threat environments. Their operational approach complemented conventional military structure rather than replacing established systems, creating comprehensive security capability through appropriate specialization. As Harrington continued developing future leaders through specialized training programs, his approach balanced conventional military doctrine against extraordinary operational experience, creating enhanced leadership capability through appropriate knowledge transfer. His professional evolution demonstrated that true leadership growth occurred through honest integration of both success and failure, creating continuous improvement opportunity through appropriate experience application. The desert mission that began with conventional parameters and evolved through failure revelation and eventual resolution had created lasting impact beyond immediate operational objectives. Its legacy continued through institutional improvement, professional development, and enhanced operational capability, demonstrating that military effectiveness ultimately depended on continuous evolution through appropriate experience integration.